Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing a serious rarity. This is reference 101005, 38.5 millimeters in platinum. This is the very earliest variation of the now legendary A Lange Söhne Lange 1. This is the solid caseback that was made from 1994 through early 1996, and these are the most sought-after standard Lange 1 models. Now, the watch measures 38.5 millimeters in diameter. The solid caseback makes it a bit thinner than the display caseback model, so it's 10 millimeters thick. It's 47.5 millimeters from lug to lug, and it has a spacing of 20 millimeters between its lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, it wears comfortably. Today, this is considered to be a fairly standard size for a dress watch, but 38.5 was with few doubts on the upper end of the scale for dress watches back in 1994 when the first Lange 1 came to market. Now today, a woman could absolutely wear this too. I think this could be worn on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, and being as thin as it is with a domed bezel, it'll slide underneath a dressed cuff. Taking a look at the strap, it is medium brown, verging on dark brown, with a semi-gloss finish, large rectangular scale alligator leather, a monotone stitch, a little bit of bolstering to give it volume, and then there is a folded edge, and on the underside you can see calf skin. This is a brand new Lange factory strap. Even then, Lange had its pin buckles dialed in, platinum to match the case, and of course a little bit of faceting externally. We have two features that I always like to point out if you're watching my Lange reviews for the first time. We have an elevated bridge so that the strap actually fits inside the pin buckle rather than stacking up underneath. There's also a little retaining bar, so if like me you have a tiny wrist and you're going to use the smallest hole or maybe even punch another hole, you know that when you strap a watch down tight, it can get pinned on the pin. That little retaining bar makes it easier to remove your watch. Case band is satinated, lugs are stepped out, and you can see that the watch has a domed bezel that has a small vertical portion and then a domed portion adjacent to it. So there's a nice distinction between the lugs in the case and the polish in the satin. You can see that the trigger for the double-digit date actually has a satinated outer face, but its edges are polished. Lots of nuance here. A Lange Söhne branded crown. Turn it over to the dial side. The dial is silver in color, but also silver in composition. The dial is a disc of sterling silver, just like a silver dollar. So the watch features two slightly overlapping registers for hours, minutes, and seconds. Now the watch does have a hacking or stop seconds function. Doppelfederhaus. It is a twin barrel movement. There's a white gold frame for the date, and there's a pusher adjuster that allows you to adjust the date. By the way, the pusher has a wonderful tactile quality to it. It's like operating a fine column wheel chronograph. The font used for the numerals is a wonderful vintage style that has lovely curly cues and serifs. And of course, we've got the 3-day power reserve indicator for the power reserve. The watch has a hacking or stop seconds function. All of the hands, the frame for the date, the indices, and the numerals are in white gold, so they will not oxidize or tarnish over time. Now, underneath this case back, which is solid platinum, we have the first version of caliber L901. So manual wind, 2 barrels, 3-day power reserve. We have this push-button quick-set date, hacking seconds, a beat rate of 21,600 vibrations per hour, chronometer-style 5-position adjustment, and 53 pivot jewels. Now, one of the features of these early 901s was that they often included Breguet overcoil hairsprings. So back when this watch was made, that would have been solidly the case. The idea being to resist time deviation due to position that can occur with a flat hairspring. With an overcoil, the hairspring has more centered mass, so it doesn't run faster or slower, particularly in any position. That's a feature that later went away, but it's absolutely a matter of convention that on these solid caseback watches, you would have gotten the overcoil movement. Now, taking a quick look at the case, you can see that the case has a solid back that makes it thinner and also makes it heavier, because sapphire weighs very little, and replacing this solid disc of platinum or gold with a piece of sapphire made the watch a lot lighter. The impression of heft and quality in the hand with the solid caseback is considerable. I'll also say this, these are far more valuable than the display casebacks. Those might be aesthetically pleasing, but it was an article of faith in watchmaking, especially in conservative watchmaking circles such as that in East Germany in the 90s, that If your reputation was strong, the customer trusted you, and it was a matter of integrity that you would finish what could not be seen, and it would be a matter of immodest boasting to put it on display. You have to remember, this was East German watchmaking coming out of collectivization under communism. They were extremely conservative, and it was their view that displaying the movement was almost like being forced to prove what everyone knew already. It was almost like calling them on their own integrity, hence the solid caseback. If you love this watch, reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.